So during my last stream, one of the viewers shared that they had just tried playing the Gurgenidze Modern for the first time in over-the-board chess, and yeah, we're gonna take a look at that game. I think it's very instructive.
Okay, so we have classical Gurgenidze, and we play with h3, we take, and we go knight f6. So normally, if they're trying to play for any advantage, they would take on f6, and then white can choose between these two moves, and then we castle, they castle, and we go for this setup where put the knight on d5, bishop on e6, queen on d7, rook on e8, and we eventually make advances on the king side, drop the bishop back to f7, bring the bishop round to d6, put the king on g7, and slowly take space on the king side, slowly improve our position, and yeah, never be worse. But okay, he goes knight bishop d3, and what I found with this move is that yeah, taking on e4 is good, and the point is that this bishop's actually a bit of a target. So we're gonna go like knight e7 c5, and we eventually hit this bishop, maybe even get the bishop pair if we're lucky. So castles is fine, very good. Knight d7 exactly, and c5 would be my next move. Okay, c5, perfect. He didn't take, so I think I've had positions where I just ignored the tension in the center, but I've analyzed positions where taking is correct. So I think I would just take. Yep, that's exactly what Mark has done. Great. And now we really need to think of where are the best squares for our pieces. Knight c5 is probably the instinct here. If the bishop goes back on this diagonal, then I'd be looking for maybe knight e6 and getting this trade, and just saying that these bishops on these diagonals followed by pushing these pawns just looks like a very strong way to attack. If the bishop goes back to f3, what would be the way to deal with that? Maybe even e5, e4 if we're feeling super ambitious. But it's always you do weaken squares as you push this along, right? Like d6 would weaken, but it's probably good. So okay, knight c5 was played, bishop c2 was played, knight e6. Okay, so basically Mark is playing just like me. I hope that's a good sign. So knight f3 declining the offer of the knights. Let's just have a very quick look at what the plan would have been had white played bishop f3. Okay. So e5 is just not good. Oh wow. Knight c6. Oh shit, there's a hanging knight. I got a bit too careless. Yeah, so maybe let's not hang our pieces. So actually this is a bit uncomfortable already. So what the hell did we do wrong? e5 in this position is another way to equalize. I guess that's just equalizing. I think c5 plays for an advantage, even if Engine is a bit of a hater. Okay, cd4, it could not be wrong. So maybe knight c5 is the slightly inaccurate move. Interesting that knight f6, bishop f3, e5 is the way to go, right? e5 definitely popped up, right? So when the knight's not hanging on c5, then maybe this is better. Knight b5 is still apparently annoying. This is what I mean about weakening the d6 square. And already we're having to play very carefully, so I'm really surprised. So maybe actually what we're learning from this engine analysis here is that we should not take on d4 while the bishop is on e4, because then that gives them a square on f3. So maybe what we're learning here is we need to play knight f6 first. And then once the bishop moves back somewhere, then we take on d4. And then we don't care if they take on d4, and then here we can even play like b6, bishop b7. So maybe that's the lesson to be learned. And we just need to make sure that we don't get like wrecked by any of these kind of moves. But bishop a6 defends the rook, queen d5 is also fine. So actually this is quite an important detail then. And this is what I mean about, like, you know, analyzing your games like with an engine and trying to get to these conclusions yourself. Because I mean, you know, a course can cover like the bare bones, but like these kind of subtleties, I mean, like I can go into such details, but it's like this is really specific to, you know, already a rare line. So it's like yeah, you've got to just try and find out this stuff yourself. So yeah, now I'm learning from this as well. Like I need to be a bit careful of this bishop a3. Maybe this is uncomfortable. So knight f6 first would be better. So okay, that's a slight inaccuracy. Okay, let's turn this back off. So he declines, queen c7, fine. Especially when there are no targets on these squares, the queen is very well placed. I'd still be looking for my plan to push the 2 pawns and have the bishop on e6. Like, I really like this bishop here. Maybe I'd even play with, like, h6 so that my bishop is a bit more secure, but really what I want to do is just trade off this knight. Bishop d7, I guess this is another way to develop. And trade the rooks. Now, there is a rule in Arkell's Endings book, which is the 2v3 is better for the side with the 2 pawns when the rooks stay on the board, because what it means is you can use the 2 pawns to spearhead the 3, break up the 3 pawns, and then there'll be a weak pawn, and your rooks will be able to gang up on it, and at the very least, you will make your opponent's rook passive. If you imagine, let's say the c pawn is like an isolated pawn, and these guys all trade, you have the rooks on this c file, and the rooks are passive defending. So while the rooks are passive defending, you create a second weakness, and then you win, right? So that is the principle. So when you play with the 2 versus 3, you should try and keep the rooks on. If you trade both rooks and you trade the queens, the 3 versus 2 is actually an advantage for white, because white will push the majority, make a pass pawn, and then white will be better. Maybe even winning. So I think rook d8 is inaccurate. Like, I don't know what the engine says, but okay, rook a d8 top move, fine. But okay, maybe it's like we don't want to trade both rooks. But okay, I mean, this is the principle. I mean, engine will find some concrete way to say anything, and I mean, this has worked for me, and it's worked for Keith Arkell. So I mean, I trust the principle, to be honest. Knight f4 is a really nice move though, because it looks like, you know, we don't lose the pawn on e7 because, oh no, the knight is defending. But maybe it's not defending, right? So we can take on f3 and then take. So a move like knight f4 is definitely more in the realms of what I would be looking for. Because if I can get the bishop pair, have this 2 versus 3 advantage with the rooks on the board, then I feel quite happy. But okay, rook d8, fine, we get a trade. Knight f4 comes. Yeah, what would have happened if knight f4 came and queen d1 in this position? Oh, this is actually a very good move as well. Okay, fine. So maybe that's a little annoying. But okay. We get this knight f4. And then we go b5. This is very nice. Tickle the king side. Why not? Provoke some weaknesses. Okay, and here I would probably just go, unless there's a big threat that I'm missing, like I'd want to play like a5 and prepare b4. Maybe put the rook on b8 first. Okay, we first kick the queen. I'm always a little bit nervous about weakening the g6 pawn by pushing the h pawn, but if concretely it's working, then fine. a4. Yeah. Oh, okay. To be fair, h5, h4 is really nice actually to undermine this, especially with our bishops. Okay, probably this is actually very strong. Trade, win a pawn, beautiful. And then I guess we can still play for the minority attack, but we're already up a pawn, so it's like maybe there's something even better we can play. Like maybe even like queen f4 or something. King d7 I'm sure is fine, even with the idea to bring the rook to this side. I wonder what the engine says is best. King d7, queen f4, is this terrible? Ah, okay, so actually again it's a case of like the king being weak is more of an important factor than okay, I mean, it's still completely winning, but rook d7 is the real issue. That we're actually just potentially losing a pawn back. Why is rook takes hit? Oh my god, there's a fork, so it's not even winning a pawn. I don't know, guys. I guess the pawn is maybe just not enough, but I think in practical terms, I mean, the bishop and rook should just outplay the knight and rook. I would really expect to grind this out. But of course, like, yeah, there's probably unnecessary. e5. Okay, sticky square on f4. Very solid. Harass the king, bring the queen in. And wow, we get a resignation. I mean, is it really completely over? I would try something. Like knight h4 maybe. Try and threaten some knight f5. you know, if there's queen e4, then I can always block queen f3. I mean, knight h4, the game continues, right? What am I missing? Queen e4, queen f3. And it's still a position. Like it's not like completely lost. But okay, no, on the whole, Mark, I mean, this was a beautiful game. I mean, I think like yeah, we learned this one subtlety in the opening about like this when to take on d4. But aside from that, like you probably played better moves than I would be able to. So yeah, no, this was a beautiful game. But okay, Mark says, wasn't taking on d4 and then knight c5 given in the course though with rook e1 instead of bishop e3? It might well be. I mean, as you just saw, I'm learning this as well. I mean, the course like is not like absolutely perfect. I mean, I'm still learning this. I'm building on my understanding of this repertoire myself. So it could well be. But I wonder then, does it make a difference? This knight c5. I mean, from my previous analysis, knight c5 is what I understood to be the right idea. But maybe it makes a difference. Like, let's actually have a look. cd4. Oh, how interesting. So here, after rook e1, for some reason, knight f6 is not as strong. Although this still looks fine. Ah, there's no b6 here. There's no b6 here because there's knight c6, knight takes e7 now that the rook is on e1. So maybe this does make a difference. Whereas with the rook on e1, if we take immediately and they take back with a knight, and now we go knight c5, you see it's top engine move. So yeah, but I should give myself more credit. Like the course isn't done shoddily. And if bishop f3, now e5. So I wasn't tripping. This kind of stuff is legit. So okay, what's the point? If knight b5, which was the problem in some of the other lines, here we can go knight d3 and we get the fork. So we see these subtleties are very, very important. From afar, it doesn't look so important. But that's why I think as well, it's like you need to really play this opening, any opening that you study. You need to analyze the games properly, and you need to look at this stuff, because the more you look at this stuff, the more you appreciate these nuances. And then when it actually comes in a game, there's more chance you find it. Like, I didn't remember when I was giving this analysis just now. I didn't remember, like, exactly the concrete details. I just had ideas, right? And then once you actually get the position on the board and you see bishop e3 or rook e1, you try and, like, logic your way through it based on the themes and understanding you have. And hopefully by the end of studying the course, you'll be bombarded with different themes and understandings. And then if you analyze your games as well thoroughly, then you also learn even more, and then you just become a stronger player. And I think the Gurgenidze Modern is a fantastic opening for building that kind of understanding. But yeah, no, very, very interesting game, Mark. And who knows, maybe I'll actually try and download this VOD and turn this into a video for some of the viewers, because I think some people would probably appreciate this game and analysis and find it quite fun to learn from. So yeah, thank you, Mark, for sending the game. I completely agree, Frizz, that h5, h4 was a very cool idea to undermine the king side and manage to win a pawn. And yeah, good training, everyone. I better get to sleep because, as I mentioned, I've got money on the line to wake up on time tomorrow. So yeah, I better sleep. And thank you for tuning in as always. So I guess see you on Monday for another training stream. Okay,